Hello, merry morning. I'm trying to see. I think we're just gonna have to start off with hello, and straight away I'm going to disable the good camera and show you the less optimal web camera, because we have been blessed with a tiny snoozing void today. This is honestly very, very typical of if I start my weekend mornings on the couch or in my armchair or anything like that, and I am working on something, some sort of craft. So it will very often find me and demand snuggles until lunchtime, and who has the heart to chase her off if you are planning on doing other things, right? It's just so cute. So we'll see how long she stays, but she seems very settled, except Embla also comes because she wants to play. Yes? Yes, darling? Does no one want to play with you? That seems pretty awful. Yeah, take your toy and leave. She's still so young. Oh, lots of energy and wanting to play, and so just wants to snuggle and play once in a while. You know, if you give me the toys, I can throw it for you. No. Yes? I don't know if you can hear her, but she is quite loud. I think this is like so. Hello. Now we are back to our normal. Oh my goodness. So Liv, so you do hear Embla meowing in the background. I was curious about how far out the microphone would be picking up things. But yeah, Embla is here and she deeply, deeply, deeply wants to play, and no one wants to throw her baby toy mouse around. It's very, very rude and heartbreaking. And so just wants to snooze. I was thinking... She is very talkative. It's because she wants to play. So she's calling for us to come play with her. And of course I'm sitting here with Soot, snuggling and planning to talk to you, and I hope she's not gonna tear down my entire setup, to be honest, because she is a bit clumsy and she might do that if we give her half a chance. Hi. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty rude. Downright torture that no one wants to play with you when you want them to, isn't it? I even left their catio open so that she could have something to go out and enjoy, but... Oh, both your cats come. Oh, I see. So this is a plot to get your cat to come join you, and hopefully come snuggle. I don't know, but good morning. I'm feeling. How is everyone feeling this Sunday morning? I am taking it easy. So, oh, do you want to go play too? We have been abandoned, officially. No more cat on lap. So it still likes to play, it's just that the baby is a little bit energetic and she's clumsy on top of it, so that makes her a bit unpredictable. So it will often opt out of playing with Embla, but they are getting there. As she gets older and slightly less clumsy, things get a little bit easier. At least one can hope. Let's see, what color are we going to do for the... I am just repairing one of my... What are these called? I think they're called long-sleeved t-shirts. It's just a soft jersey, long-sleeved cotton thingamajig, and we are gonna get a start on repairing it, but honestly these things fall apart faster than I can repair them, so I'm not sure how long this one is going to last. Letty also wishes good morning, so let's see. What do we have in our box of tricks? We could just do green, I suppose we could do that, but I kind of like this yellowish green thingamajig. Oh, come on. Come out. Good morning, Sabine. Yeah, I wanted to try to do lives at slightly different times occasionally, like so different people have a chance to join who might be busy and things like that, because I never wanted to be like oh, that is good, Haley, that it acted up and that made you see it. I'm still not sure how to work on, you know, the whole having a live be announced a couple of hours before to give people time to gather, or do you just start it and announce it then, and everyone who is available comes if they want to? I don't know what works best for people, because I can't do a set streaming schedule because of the migraines that I get, and I would be really sad if I'd promised you a live stream several days in advance and then I am knocked out and unable to do anything. So I think this sort of ad hoc, as we wanted system is going to have to be the best that we can do. But at the same time, I want people to join only if they can and want to and feel like it that day. Like, I don't want people to be glued to their screens and having that unhealthy relationship with something. Of course, you can't control how people relate to your content, but I don't know, I just want this to be sort of an offering for a little bit of space if people want it. But I don't want people to feel bad or like they missed out too much if they were busy when I went live. I don't know, it's yeah, it's like when folks give some kind of streaming premiere notice and then to other SNS give immediate notice it's starting. SNS, do you mean a streamer or a streaming? I'm not sure what SNS, what that abbreviation is. Oh, you don't have to feel sorry. It's I have a good doctor and we have a good medical regime, so usually I can, if I overdo it or I get a migraine, I mean, sometimes you get a migraine anyway, but I have good medications to manage it, but I still need to go lie down for several hours and then I'm a bit like a slug human afterwards. So last time was on Friday, and when I finally, after hours in bed, woke up again in the evening, my spouse parked me in front of the television on the couch with a new cozy game that they got on their Switch where you plant flowers and stuff, which was weirdly addictive, like always like those games where you're looking for different breeds of plants. But it's the kind of, if I had promised everyone a stream that day, I would be a very, again, slug human, like my brain is kind of toast, so it would be a bad stream because I would be very incoherent and strange. So I would, that phrase of, under promise but over deliver. I would rather have do a stream whenever I feel up for it and have it be a nice surprise rather than having to say, oh sorry, stream is cancelled today, if people have been looking forward to it and then it doesn't happen and people are disappointed. That is not, I would rather not have that. That doesn't seem like a good way to manage that kind of thing. Oh, social networking service, that is fair enough. And yeah, there are so many things to help manage these things now so that it's easier to see what is going on. But it takes practice, that for sure. Oh, your cat was out most of the night, now she's sleeping. That is amazing. Yeah, Soot is very, very snuggly in the morning. So again, if I want to get any work done in the morning, I need to not sit down on the couch or in a comfortable chair because Madam will find it as an opportunity to have a very good long nap. And who has the heart to move her, honestly? That is just not... that is just not something I want to do unless I really, really need to go somewhere. Like, in this house, we have... I mean, most people would just move the offending feline, but we have a thing where if we are feeling particularly like we don't have the heart to move the cat, we will either shake a snack jar if we have access to one. If we don't have access to one, we will message the other person and ask them to come save us. By that we mean find a snack jar and shake it so that the cats are excited and leave your lap of their own volition. Which it works when both of us are in the house. And the cats get spoiled, so I guess everyone wins. Oh, and crocheting a hat. That is nice. I wanted to do knitting actually today, but the project that I'm working on has a fairly complex lace pattern, and I was going to give it a go even on stream, since my stress levels go down with every stream, so I thought maybe we could give it a try. But then Soot was like, I would like to eat your ball of yarn and run away with it, so I was like, maybe not while I am physically tied to my computer with a microphone and have limited recourse for going after her and get my yarn back. Then I lose all my stitches. So maybe next time. But I need to get myself a new dum-dum knitting project, because the one I have keeps just lying in my project bag because I need to have the brain space to do it. But hopefully we shall get there eventually. SNS sounds like a good word, yeah? I think it's a good word. But then again, there are so many acronyms in different industries, and so many different people use different acronyms in different ways, and it can be a whole confusion if you are sure you are using an acronym in one way, and then other people think that you are using an acronym to mean something else. Which, yeah, that can be a whole time. So I do like it when scientific articles and stuff, they are usually required to explain acronyms, especially if they are specific acronyms they use only in that group. But common acronyms in the field are fine. Hello, bro. Where are we? I am not sure where you are. I am in my cozy chair in my workroom preparing a long-sleeved t-shirt, I think we agreed to call it, and wondering if this will actually last long enough. There are already other holes along the seams, and these things fray so fast, but it's a nice simple activity to do while waking up and talking to you and trying different stitches. Although when it comes to darning, I usually just weave back and forth between whatever I am doing. Although I will admit, not that I have the embroidery skills to pull it off, but let's see. I think I need to pull. But yeah, so Europe is just waking up, depending on when you are, and Australia I think are winding down, and Americans might be sleeping, depending on your schedule. But yeah, with the tier that is sort of down here, and another one, and a big hole here, which I'm not sure, let's see if I can show it to you since I have the whole sleeve. But yeah, my biggest concern is this big hole right here, and then there is another tier alongside here. But it kind of looks like a pear in the shape that we ended up with, and the color kind of looks like a pear too, but I'm not sure if I can actually pull that off in any conceivable way. This thread would be good if I hadn't put a knot in it, but I wonder if everyone is still knitting or doing other projects. Last time we had a lot of cardigan knitters, and today I've so far seen lino cutting and crochet, and I'm trying to do some darning, so I'm not sure what everyone else is up to. If anyone notes to share. There we go. I think we have all the knots out of the system. I will frequently forget that even if I'm using 2 strands of embroidery floss, you need to pull one out of the hank at a time, because otherwise you just get horrible tangles like I did here. But maybe one day I will learn. Maybe. Yeah, it's a nice cloudy March morning here, which I like. They're so quiet and nice. Oh, Leia, you just sit down with your spinning wheel. That's lovely. That's such a nice... It seems like such an excellent task for your hands to do work and your brain to rest, and I really like those tasks once in a while. Oh, Haley, you haven't tried darning yet. Go for it. The good thing about darning, I think, is that it's a garment that is broken anyway, so you might as well try to improve it, because why not? A lot of the time you can't use it if it's a formal wear or anything like that, so yeah. And cotton is a really good place to start. It's really easy to darn on cotton. I did in my youth, while my wardrobe was still more polyester than I was aware of, try to darn polyester clothes, and that is not fun. The plastic makes the yarn, especially on the needle, especially if the needle is like fairly densely going between the threads of the fabric, it squeaks really. Yeah, no, I don't like it. It really makes this bad sound that I was not a big fan of. But now most of my clothes are natural fibers and I don't have that problem anymore. But yeah, definitely have a go at darning some cotton clothes. It's a nice calming thing, and it's okay if it doesn't turn out perfect. Just make it a feature. It's alright. It's better than it was anyway. Iris is knitting socks for the grandfather. Oh, that is lovely. Should knit more socks. I have been meaning to make, you know, a stack of guest slippers, guest socks, because the place where we live, it's quite cold on the floor. So I have been thinking about doing that, but it takes a while to get around that with all the other stuff going. Elizabeth says it's 7 p.m. in Australia in a sunny autumn day here. Oh, that sounds so lovely. You're working on an ink loom, making tape. Oh, I love that. That's really, really nice. I've been wanting to get back to some tablet weaving, ink loom weaving for some of the smaller projects. Like I use more and more hair ribbons and stuff, and I would like to weave some ribbons that I could use, because that could be a cool little project that we could share in. And Brooke has just come from knitting a sock for their dad. That is amazing. So many people knitting stuff for other people. I love the gifting economy, and we have a similar thing in my friend group where I get amazing gift from friends who are amazing crafters at some things, and then you try to sort of give them something amazing back in some respect, or at least something that you spent time on and thought about them and tried to make something that you thought that they would like. And it can be a lot of fun to see their expressions when they open up something that they didn't expect to get. A good friend of mine have this thing where both of us aren't really a fan of it has to be a specific day or occasion or event for there to be a gift, because often if it's a birthday or a holiday or something, you get so many gifts, so it can be overwhelming if it's a big family and if they have a focus on gift giving and like giving physical things. So instead we try to not give each other at those occasions, but we give each other gifts, and we just say, you know, happy Thursday or happy weekday or happy day of the month or whatever it is, and we just make fun out of it. But it makes for really cozy interactions because you don't wait for an occasion to make someone you love happy. And I think that is really nice. Hida says, you're just sitting here. That is fine. There's no pressure. It's just usually when we have these things, a lot of people are doing stuff with their hands at the same time, and I think it's fun to listen to or read about what people are working on, but you don't have to. Just listen to all my ums and ahs and struggling with transition words instead. That is perfectly fine. And Sabine is making breakfast and will be working on a shawl. Oh, with handspun yarn. That is lovely. I have so many shawls that I want to get started on, but I have some ideas for how I want to integrate them into maybe a video. We'll see, but that means that I need to have the spoons to film while I'm working on it, so I haven't gotten that far yet, but we'll see. Maybe. Or maybe I just don't film it and just have it as my off-screen project. That's always an option. But and Elizabeth darned a pair of crocheted socks. I love that. I feel like when you make a pair of handmade socks, they take so long to make compared to how long they can take to wear through, that if you don't darn them, then so many hours just not wasted, because it's not never wasted when you enjoy making things, but it's a bit sad when this嬉thing that you made is already needing repairs and then just sits in a darning pile because you don't have the spoons to get to it. Perfect bedtime company. Oh, that is nice. Yeah, I've tried to stream at different times. Like the last 2 streams I did at 6 p.m. my time, which is, US are starting to wake up and Australians are in the middle of the night. But I wanted to try to have different times that people could catch a stream on, just because everyone has busy lives with different schedules, and if I always stream at the same time on the same day, then I figure the same people are probably going to struggle to make it. Whereas if we change it up a little bit, maybe more people can join in, like, overall. Honeymoon says good morning, good morning. We are having a slow, cozy morning. Nelly says greetings for North Carolina in Finland. Ah, good morning, neighbor. You're organizing your yarns. Oh, that is so nice. A good organization. Like it feels so amazing when it's done and you have a system for things. I haven't done that to the workroom in a while. Maybe I should. I do try to keep my computer files organized though. Hello, madam. Are you coming back? You can if you want to. But I'm going to be sitting here for a little while. Haley, you have more motivation to follow through on projects for friends and family? Same. I tend to make, good morning, some very basic stuff for myself. You don't have to go on top of the shelf, darling. I try to tell you that top of the shelf is not for you. Hi. But yeah, I also have, especially with tablet weaving and stuff for friends who are into Viking reenactment, I find it so much easier to motivate myself to do complex, intricate, amazing patterns if it is for someone else, because I feel kind of weird making them just for me. I try sometimes if I'm filming it, but it's hard. It's so much easier to make the cool stuff for other people and make them happy. And Mila is knitting a sweater for their sister, also in Finland. That is lovely. Oh, it's sunny there. That is interesting, since we are not too far away from each other, and it's frightfully cloudy here, but I love that. It's nice and soft and good morning. Hey Soot, did you want to come back? Oh, Brooke, you're very new to my channel? Well, welcome. We don't... You don't need to have been a long time channel to join these lives. These are just chill hangout time. The only reason I have the you need to have been subscribed for 5 minutes to leave a comment in the chat is because I'm just me, and moderating if a lot of people wanted to bomb the stream is a tiny bit harder for them that way, and I don't have to spend all my time being worried that someone is gonna be rude in chat, because when I do this I get all the nice people. At least that has been my experience so far. Time is spring already showing in Norway? Where we are, which is like southeast, it's starting to show along the coast. We are a little further inland, so we still have a fair bit of snow. In the catio that we keep for the cats, I think some grass is starting to show, like it's starting to get a little bit green, but most of the grass is still very much brown. But we are getting there. When I worked in the north of Norway as a gardener, we would wait until May to do any work, and then we were still, you know, raking gravel off the piles of snow before they melted into the lawns that would eventually become green. And sometimes the snow was melted by mid-May, but not always. That was a lovely time. The people are amazing. Working outside with the flowers and having a great team to eat lunch with was just so much fun. Yeah, Sut came back. She came back to lie on my lap, and maybe she'll stay a little bit now. She would if Embla hadn't disturbed her, but that's alright. Oops. Oh, your Mima loved knitting because it helped her quit smoking. Wow. That is so cool. Was it because it gave her something to have in her hand so she didn't miss the smoking so much? That is really, really cool. I love that. Use crafts for something positive, always. Yeah, it can be hard for grandparents when no one wants to pick up their interests. And then what I've seen is that later a lot of people are sort of growing an appreciation for their grandparents' interest, but it's too late to tell their grandparents about it because they have already passed on, which is sad because then they don't get to see and share and talk about their interest before people actually got interested in it. Will this stream be recorded and available somewhere? Yeah. It is live on YouTube, and it will be on YouTube after, unless like something happens that makes me need to take it down. So if you go to my channel, there should be a list of tabs sort of on top, and it would have like videos and shorts and lives and community, I think, which are the written posts, and then all the lives dump into that category of lives, so you can watch them whenever you want. At your own pace, at your own leisure. You don't have to rush to join. I talked about this a little bit in the beginning as well, but I know I can't control viewer interactions with streams, but I hope that people have a healthy relationship with content and, you know, consume at their leisure what they want to consume. Don't drop anything important just because I happen to go live or drop a video. I hope you don't do that. Do your stuff. The videos and the lives will be there when you come back, and I'm having a lot of fun interacting with you in this way, so I'm hoping that we will keep the lives being a somewhat regular feature so we can talk and craft and just chill, share cat content of our ever important overlords. Brooke says repetitive knitting is so soothing. Yeah, I would agree. Like a good, I know people, maybe many people don't like a long piece of stockinette or something like that because they find it so boring. But I find it so amazing because I can just turn my brain off then. I can watch a movie, I can listen to a podcast, I can talk to you guys. And I know that I am just doing stockinette with no increases or decreases for 20, 30, 40 centimeters, whatever it is, and you just measure to see if it's long enough, and I can just do straight stitches after straight stitches, one after the other, and I don't have to worry about doing anything wrong. And I love lace patterns too, like lace knits, but I do need to have, unless it's a very simple lace knit, which I am getting more and more fond of those, to be honest. For that reason, I do need to focus so that I don't put a hole where I shouldn't and an intake where it wasn't supposed to be, and then things end up being a mess. Well, then you have to take it up again and start over, and that can be a little bit demotivating, but it is what it is. Oh, it was an elderly neighbor who was very kind. That does sound like an excellent honorary grandma. Where we grew up when I was very young, I had a similar, except she was more of a honorary great grandma, because she was a great grandma with her actual family, and I had these little embroidery kits, like tiny embroidery kits with cross stitches of things like, oh, what is it called, that little bird with the red chest that is very common for Christmas? Not a robin, but, well, one of the European birds anyway that is strongly associated with the Yule and winter solstice season, and other birds and holly and things like that. And I would take my little embroidery kit and my colors, and I would jump over the fence and knock on her porch door, and then we would sit in her very old, super cozy living room, and we would embroider together. And she might just be talking, she might be knitting. She did struggle with her eyesight towards the end, so she needed, maybe it's a cardinal. I'm not super good with English bird names always. I know them in Norwegian, but yeah, we would sit and I would embroider, and we would eat I think they're also called camphor. Yeah, they're called camphor, like camphor flavored hard candy, which is a candy, at least here in Norway, that is very much associated with old people, from her lovely glass bowl with a lid. She was super nice. She gave me a knitted Santa one year for the winter solstice that I still have, and we still pull out every year when we decorate for the winter solstice, and I think it's super lovely and cute, and it reminds me of her and sharing that time with her when I was very small. And oh, you found the past lives, excellent. That is very good. There aren't that many of them yet, but maybe there will be more in time. Princess Grid says robin. I don't think it's a robin because it's different. Maybe I should just Google it, because robin is a different one. We have a couple. I think robins are more common elsewhere. Let's see if I can go to ye old Google. Dump up in English. It says here that it's called a bullfinch in, oh pardon. It says here that it's called a bullfinch in English. This is one of the things I really use Wikipedia for, because it'll usually give you the Norwegian article and then you get the Latin name, and then you take the Latin name and you go into a different site and you enter the Latin name. I do this for flowers as well and plants, and then you get the English name, and it's usually very safe because you have the Latin and then you know that it should be alright. But yeah, I think it's a bullfinch. So, back to the moment. Sounds like a wonderful memory. Yeah, it really was. It was one of those really precious interactions that I was just spending time as a child, you know, just visiting her. I had a good time myself, so it was no bother to visit this woman who lived right across the fence. You really enjoyed the stories about the Nisse? Oh, that is lovely. I think there's fun stories to share. Like, there's so much fun folklore and myths and interesting stories that hide in just plain sight that have evolved to modern day and we don't really think about them and their origins and where they came from. And then when you start looking into it, it turns out that they are a lot more they are a lot older than we thought they were. That is just amazing how long these things stay with us and change and adapt to modernity and sort of just stick around. So that's... Both your grandmothers were skilled in fiber arts? That's lovely. So many... I had one grandmother who was very skilled in fiber arts. She was a sewist at a company that made rain gear, of all things. But it's nice when some of them pick up that skill. I also have a friend who is very skilled at most all fiber arts. We like to say that we are, you know, craft accumulators, because we will pick up a new skill and we will practice it for a while and do challenge ourselves to do some of the hard things, and then we're like, yeah, but now we've done it, now we need to find a new skill to explore and learn and try to figure out the mechanics and everything, and that's a lot of fun. And they had a grandmother who is super skilled at fiber arts. Like, they had sheep and she would spin the wool in different grays so that she could knit different colored and striped socks for the grandchildren, and I just thought that was super cool. Would I ever consider sharing other seasonal folktales? Maybe. I am not super strong in folklore. Like, I find it interesting and intriguing, but I don't know, like, maybe. It's been a long time since I read up on folklore in general. Like, even the Nisse, I was making sure that I at least had a few more stories than the ones I grew up with, but I would have to think, because a lot of them have been changed as, you know, Christianity came around and adapted, and many people think they are Christian traditions, but when you dig a little deeper, it turns out that they're just an adaptation of a much older tradition. And even some Norse traditions, when you look at the legends, are a lot older than they look on the surface. Like, you could see, like I mentioned with the Nisse, that some of them seem to come from the Roman, even way before that, and I think those things are really cool to investigate. And camphor drops, were they orange? Yeah, they are orange. Camphor is... I mean, they used them to... Didn't they use pieces of camphor to, like, scare away moths from clothes and things like that? And I'm pretty sure they used it as medicine as well. And it's one of those things that just turned into sweets that we associate with older people, which I find intriguing. I mean, what was it? The tonic water in gin and tonic as well. I don't drink, but I find the history of it, because tonic water started out as a malaria treatment. It has quinine, which is a chemical that deters the malaria mosquito a little bit, but it apparently tasted awful. So what did the officers do? Yeah, they started mixing it with alcohol, specifically gin, in order to take their medicine, and now it's a whole thing. Now it's a drink that many people enjoy. And Fun fact, but quinine is UV active, so under the blue light, a proper tonic water, if it has quinine inside, should glow. Which I've never actually tested, but just one of those fun chemistry geeky bits that... You made a suggestion on Discord? Yeah, I will... Myths, folklore, and related to textiles? Yeah, I might make that channel later once we are done with the stream. That's... If people are interested in it, I'll probably make channels for it. That is kind of how that goes. Try to make it a space that people enjoy. But for people who maybe don't know about the Discord, I made a little community Discord that I launched in those YouTube community posts earlier this week, and so far it's a really cozy little space where people can share their wins and their crafting and just have a good chat, have some tea, do stuff, support each other. I want it to be like this nice space where you are more than welcome to strive for excellence and make things as good as you can do, but I don't want us to I want us to be staunchly against that perfectionism, like toxic perfectionism, that stops so many from getting started on projects, from finishing projects, from even thinking that they can do a thing. I find that really, really sad. And honestly, it's not something that I struggled with too much. I have several friends who struggle with it a lot more. Here, let me put the Discord in the chat if anyone wants to join. And let's see if I can do this. Multitasking. Wait, where did I? No, not there. Over here. Let me click on this button and this button. And copy this. And we paste that into the chat for you if you want to join, if you haven't already. But yeah, perfectionism was never, and I talked about this in the last stream too, was never a big problem for me, but I have several friends who really struggle with it, who burn themselves out deeply and just get really dejected and demotivated. And I didn't have that. When I burnt out, it was more because I'm a people pleaser and I don't say no. So when work piled up, I really didn't want to disappoint the master students. They needed to finish on time. So even though there were a lot of them and I was running ragged to finish their samples, I never said no, because I didn't want them to, fail their exams and their final master thesis, because I couldn't run fast enough and then I burned out after. But I almost sometimes I feel bad for being in the position that I am, making content for you guys, trying to do the thing, publishing videos, because I know so deeply that I have amazing friends who are so much more skilled, so much more talented, they are kind, they are amazing. Like, especially two people come to mind. I had a classmate during my bachelor, this lovely, amazing human being, was very much perfectionistic and got, A's in all of their classes, and the only class where they got a B was a class that I almost failed. Like, this human is so amazing, so kind, and takes, in people like coach surfers, and super amazing human being. And of course, the reason we both struggled with that class was that we did a master level class before we were actually ready for it. We did it during our bachelor because it sounded fun and we liked the professor after we took the basic class. And yeah, we were not ready for the workload on top of our usual bachelor workload. But this person taught me, because I've been sort of like taught to keep my head down. I had a brain for things, but life was easier if my grades were good but not the best, because if you are the best, then you stick out and then you can get some negative attention that way. So I would get my math test back and I would shove it into my backpack as soon as humanly possible so my classmate wouldn't see what kind of grade that I got. And I was sort of coasting because I could just get reasonable grade, if not a perfect one, by listening to people studying in the classroom before the test. So I was very much, average is good enough, good enough is good enough. And then I went to university, and because I'd been taught that, if you study science, and I landed on chemistry, then you'll be useful to society, which is a whole other can of worms. But I met my classmate, this lovely person, and it was just the two of us in chemistry class that year because it was a small university. And he taught me that it's okay to try to do your best, to strive for things, to make an effort. And by golly, did the exams get a lot more scary after that, but also a lot more fun because we were studying together, we were doing fun things, we were just having an amazing time. And then of course I decided that the master that I wanted to do was not at the university where we were studying. So I moved cities to move to a different university that had analytical chemistry because I felt that was more environmental. And we kept in contact. Like, we both dedicated in the acknowledgements, we both wrote thanks to the other person in our acknowledgements, even though none of us had talked about it, and we just did it without talking to each other. But the interesting thing is that when I moved to do my master thesis, I met a different person who was also amazing and whom I shared many classes with, and I later went on to do a PhD, ironically around the same time as her, because we had both taken breaks from university to work for a while, and then we just happened to come back around the same time to do a PhD in the same department under different advisors, and we ended up in the same office and had a lovely time. It was so amazing. Everything changed when they became my office mates. Like, suddenly things were a lot more social. But this person, also amazing, hardworking person. They were doing martial arts, they were dancing, they were studying, and I just always looked up to them and felt like, wow, these people have their stuff together, like they know how to make life work. And the same with my classmate. During my bachelor, I was like, wow, this person is amazing, they know so much, they're so kind, they're so skilled, they're so clever, like they just have everything going for them. And then they both burned out. Both of them, because of their perfectionism and good girl syndrome and do everything right. And so my bachelor friend went to Germany on an exchange during their masters, and work expectations in that lab were really, really big, like 12-hour days every day for the weeks that you were there. And when they came back, they just sort of collapsed and really struggled after that. They finished their masters, but they never went on to do a PhD, which I always thought to myself, if any of us are going to do a PhD, it's going to be my classmate, because they are amazing and they're so clever and they're so good at everything. But now they are, like last I talked to them, they are an engineer at the university where we worked, which is, I think they're enjoying their job a lot and having a lot of fun interacting with the students and training them. But it was always such a sombering moment for me, because I always felt like, if anyone is going to do a PhD, it's this person, because they're so much better than me. And the same with my classmate during my master thesis and my office mate during our PhD. They burnt out while doing the PhD, and they are still, they are still working on their PhD. I'm rooting for them. I talk to them regularly, and I really hope they finish. But if they don't, that is also okay. Like, failing is okay. But that was sort of back to my point about sometimes I feel guilty that I am the one sort of sitting here, ironically, with the PhD I'm not technically using, and with the audacity to make videos and talk to you online and make videos about topics and subjects, and then there are these people who I always felt were not just better, like not just more intelligent or more, but so kind and so nice and so good, and they're struggling so hard. So all that roundabout way just to say that I want to have a focus in the Discord on, you know, dismantling toxic perfectionism, because I've seen in so many of my friends and loved ones how devastating it can be, how limiting it is, how much it destroys their life, where I see this person with so much potential and skill and joy, and then it's taken from them before they even get to do the thing. It's really sad. It's one of the many ways our society is pushing the wrong buttons, I think, where if these people hadn't been trained to have such strong perfectionism tendencies, they would probably feel a lot better for it. Like, they would probably be healthier mentally and have more energy and do more things and just have more fun. But yeah, I don't like toxic perfectionism. Striving for excellence is different, and that is fun to do, like, why not? But that toxic perfectionism is, do not like. Rogue says, my German friend has parents who work shifts in a lab, and she says it's brutal. Yeah, I have heard, like, excellent, like, saying it's excellent work ethic is kind of, I feel like that is kind of wrong when you talk about people who work a lot, because it's not healthy, isn't it? It's not a good work-life balance. It's not really sustainable to being a human and having free time. And this was something I struggled with too when I was working full-time at university. Was I could do the full-time and I could do the overtime when I needed to, but I was completely shot, exhausted when I came home. So I would usually I would have a migraine at the end of the day, and I would just collapse on the couch or in bed. My spouse would try to put some food in me, and then I would just go to bed. And that doesn't seem like the best work-life balance to me. And of course, work had no incentive to change things because I could perform while I was there. But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because people gotta live, and it's hard. I wish work in society was more human-oriented than industry and capitalism and productivity-oriented. But doesn't seem like it wants to change anytime soon, does it? Anyway, that is going off the rails for quite a while. Let's see, since I think we have more people now than we did in the beginning, let's see if I can yet again change. Hello, this is the bad camera on my computer, but if I pull the screen down, look at her. My little snuggling came back and she is asleep. Of course, I am talking at the same time, which she is not necessarily a fan of, but usually it's fine so long as I've been talking the entire time. But if she's been lying on my lap for a morning while I'm editing, and I change modes and I start to do a voiceover instead of doing just silent editing, she will get huffy and jump off my lap and leave because I started making noise when it was previously quiet. But usually if I've been talking the whole time, like with friends or listening to music, she's like, oh, this is just a background noise, so it's fine. But yeah, this is what happens when I sit in a comfy chair or couch before noon. Oop. Let's see, where did we? There. Yeah, she's a darling. She's very, very cute. Oh You appreciate talking about my friends and perfectionism and burnout? Yeah. Oh, you are also currently struggling to graduate for biochemistry PhD course, and it really resonates. Yeah, I've seen this so much, and you can do the thing, and it's okay to be burnt out. I haven't met a single PhD student who wasn't burnt out. This shit is hard, and biochemistry is also very hard. So all my support and empathy and support, like all of the things, like it is hard. But I sometimes talk to people about something that surprises them, and that is that it is not the best students that go on and get PhDs. A lot of people think that it's only the A-level students who go on to get PhDs, but in Norway there is a grade limitation. So when you do a bachelor, in order to get into a master, you need to have at least a C average, so like at least, you know, average or above. And to get from a master to a PhD, you need at least a B average, you know, the top 2 grades. And the grade system in Norway is very different from the US, so it's not really comparable in that way, but suffice to say that you need to be at least like the top average, like the top percentile of students. But among those, what I've seen is that the perfectionistic students that gets A's all the time are the most high-strung, they are the most stressed, they are the most prone to burnout because they put so many expectations on themselves. They're so hard on themselves for every tiny, tiny mistake. And, you know, everything is a disaster. Every experiment that fails is the world is ending. You know, they're worried. Their supervisor is super disappointed, and you know everything is really big in their head because they've been trained by parents and teachers from a young age that only the best is good enough. So they have so much stress, and I've worked with these PhD students and I get exhausted just looking at them because they put so much pressure on themselves and they burn out, they fail, they drop out. I mean, some of them obviously are going to manage to keep that stress and that perfectionism going, and they manage to push themselves all the way to their PhD, their postdoc, their, you know, maybe they do get an associate professor, but at some point it's going to come and hit them in the face because there's so much stress. There's so much in them to be perfect and to do all of the things. And I've noticed that the people who actually succeed, who manage to succeed consistently over time, are those people who are, you know, not the best, but a little bit more average, a little bit more chill, a little bit more, no, I do actually need to have a work-life balance. So yeah, this experiment blew up, but I'm going to take a weekend, give myself a breather, come back and start it over again on Monday. And I'm one of those people who is a little bit more chill. I don't feel a need to have perfect grades all the time. I was like, if I pass, and like in the PhD requirements to get a pass in a course is different from master and bachelor students. So you already need to have pretty good grades for it to count. But I would be like, it gets the job done. The reviewers are mean when you submit a paper. Yeah, the reviewers are always mean, but we're going to submit the edits and it gets the job done. Honestly, the place where I always worked the hardest was in relation to students. If I was teaching, I teach the bachelor level courses in organic chemistry lab courses and chromatography, which is an analytical technique, and I have a lot of fun working with students and answering their questions and seeing them understand things is a lot of fun. So I would always push myself really hard in relation to any student that we had, like master students in the lab and stuff like that. These were always top of the priority for me because it's a lot of fun. And again, you know, people pleaser was the reason I burnt out, not perfectionism. So you get the job done. And that was also where I learned that I am more of a facilitator than a leader. Like, I didn't feel like I would be a good fit for a postdoc or an eventual professor because I struggled with, sending those applications in for money and sitting in meetings and feeling like, you're having to talk about your research and your projects in a way that people understand that it's important. And my supervisor was really good at that, but I was much better at facilitating, making sure there's always enough safety gloves in the lab, planning, talking with my supervisor about how many master students we're taking on, what each of their projects are, what all of their chemicals needs are going to be, what sort of reagents and consumables they're going to need, so that everything plus some spares are ready for when they come into the lab and get their training. That was sort of, I had a much easier time doing that than standing at the front and being like, this is what we are going to research and this is what we're going to focus on, and all of those things. So I don't know if that was an accurate assessment, but I always felt like I was much better at facilitating for other people than standing at the front and leading them. But those were some very long rants about academia and perfectionism and doing things. But yeah, just do things. It's okay. It's one of the reasons I like to talk about. I mean, this box of embroidery floss was a gift from a friend who found it at an estate sale, so I don't feel super bad about using it if the project doesn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to, because in many ways, like this, the cost for this embroidery floss was paid by someone else a long time ago, and they have since moved on, so to me this is mostly free. And the same with scraps. I encourage people to, if they're starting sewing, to start with secondhand clothing or with scraps of things or to mend things, because the stakes are so low. So if you're struggling with perfectionism and feeling like it needs to be perfect that first time, I feel like giving them something to do with scraps that doesn't have high stakes is a way to sort of ease them in and, sneakily get past some of that perfectionism, maybe. After learning about gifted child syndrome, it has added a whole new dimension to my burnout and expectations for myself and perfectionism. I will believe that. I will absolutely believe that. It's, of course, I'm autistic, and I know a lot of people in my gang are autistic too, and that adds a whole other level, because you get autistic burnout on top of other burnouts and things like that. But yeah, it's the kind of thing that doesn't make sense on a societal level in anything but the short term. Because if people burn out and get disabled when they would otherwise, if they hadn't put so much pressure on themselves and society hadn't put so much pressure on themselves, they would have been amazing contributors to society. But instead they are sick and disabled and they feel like failures, and that is so sad. They have all this desire to contribute and we broke them instead. That doesn't make any sense. Not on a personal level and not on a societal level, I don't think. Haley says, I've been sewing and embroidering for a while, and it was only until most recent project that you did any kind of piecing. You had mismeasured and had to sew an extra portion, and you were okay with that. Good for you! That is so... I'm so happy to hear that. I know we joke about piecing being period, but also piecing is fun. Piecing makes more of your resources, and I just enjoy the challenge of it in general. Like, I have too little fabric, but I will make it work anyway. Yeah. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, before this you felt a lot of pressure to make each project perfect. A lot of people do. And sometimes I feel like I'm not the right person to be like, no, perfectionism bad, just do things, because I don't have the problem to the extent that I see other people do, but maybe I need to be exactly the right person in exactly the right place doing those things anyway, because perfectionists are gonna struggle with getting started and do the thing and telling people they can do it, because what if their advice isn't perfect? And I feel like advice is never perfect because it comes from your own perspective and your own experiences, and other people are going to have different experiences and backgrounds and everything. And I think about this more and more if I watch like a how to YouTube or how to edit videos or how to do shorts or how to whatever. There are a lot of advice that you can glean from it, but I also find myself needing to take a step back a lot of the time and be like, yeah, but you are advising on this from your perspective, with your energy, and within your niche. So maybe I need to tweak this a little bit and make it work for me and my energy and my community, because what works for one niche on YouTube is not necessarily going to work for another, even if you present it as this is good YouTube advice and works for everyone. And I feel like we as humans often forget that our perspective is not universal, because obviously we only have our own perspective to go on. So it's hard to remember that other people have very different lived experiences. But I feel like that makes it a lot easier to take and give advice when you sort of have that caveat at the back of your head of take it or leave it at your leisure. I am just giving this from my perspective, and your lived experience might look different, and what is healthy and good for you might look different. Nelly says you found them, so you have ulterior motive for you to organize your yarn. You want to knit the shawl and had the perfect yarn somewhere. Ah, so instead of just looking for it, you organized everything. Well, that works too. That works too. Like, no. I feel like this conversation we are having about perfectionism and my stance of being staunchly against toxic perfectionism is very much apt for you, Nelly. Yeah, same with work. Like, if you have to have the perfect workspace organized before getting any work done, there's no such thing as the perfect workspace. There's only good enough, and then you have to get started, and you make small improvements along the way. Oh yeah, you love organizing yarns because you find cool things you forgot about. That's a good point. I keep trying to reduce my both yarn and fabric stash, because I feel like it is large enough that I should be shopping my own stash, because there is enough stuff there that I can knit various things. And a fun fact, but one of the reasons I want to learn to spin is, one, it looks really fun, like it looks like the spinning community is having a lot of fun, but also I've been wanting, like, I enjoy knitting on small gauge knitting needles, and the yarn I can get from the yarn shop most users don't want to go for the thin yarn, and I don't want to knit with synthetics, or for a lot of things I prefer wool because it's nice and warm and cozy, so I don't want to go for a thinner gauge cotton, although that could work. So one of the reasons I want to learn to spin is so that I can try to spin thinner yarn than what I can buy in the shop, so that I can try to make, lace light shawls, like inspired by those Shetland lace shawls that are really gossamer thin and amazing. I have no illusions that I'll get them as thin as those masters of the craft, but if I can do a little bit, I think that could be fun. That could be a fun project. But Christina says, good morning from Canada. It's 5 a.m. Yeah, I'm sorry I did an earlier stream today because I wanted to give the Australians and Kiwis a chance to have a time slot that was not entirely outside of, well, regular sleeping hours is, I guess, a misnomer because everyone has different regular sleeping hours, but I am very much a person who gets up around 6 or 7 a.m. and I go to bed pretty on the dot at 9 p.m. because I am a sleepy person and I don't function after 9 p.m. I just stop working. Jonah says hello from Australia. Hello, welcome. Hope we are having a good and calm and chill Sunday time together. Yeah, I really relate to autistic burnout, just trying to simply enjoy sewing. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? When you want to make the really like the perfect blouse or a really nice dress or pair of trousers with all the bell tubes and the plackets and all of the everything, and then just doing the thing is really hard, and just doing it for yourself. And I've had honestly a good lesson in this from you, my community this year, because I felt like this winter after New Year's I felt a bit tired, so I felt like I was taking on smaller projects because I didn't have as much energy and I just wanted to do something small for me. So I did the video where I repaired my wool skirt and I added a ruffle to the bottom, and I did the silly cat, pen holder bookmark thing, and I did, small projects. And I felt selfish in a way because they were just tiny projects. They were just for me and maybe the closest, subscribers. But I got so much positive feedback from people who are like, oh my god, yes, small projects, repairing things, that I'm probably not going to stop doing those things. And just like you find when you try to step out of that comfort zone, that doing projects just for yourself can unlock a lot of joy for the craft that maybe you hadn't noticed before if you were trying to do the craft just to please someone else. I don't know, those have been some interesting observations this year, and yeah, maybe doing more projects that feels like I'm doing them just for me is not such a bad thing in a way, because obviously I make these projects for me because I'm the one filming and making them, but some projects feel more for me than others, like if I'm just doing it. But I don't know, it's Neil says, you understand my view on perfectionism, you burned out too? Yeah. Doubtful if you'll ever recover. Same. We see more and more research on this, that having a bad burnout is a permanent health. Like, I noticed that my concentration is worse, my speed, I work so much slower now than before my burnout, and that can be super frustrating when you really want to, edit and work and film and do stuff, but everything is slower and I don't work or think as fast as I used to before I burnt out, and that is super frustrating. And yeah, you either have to accept it or just burn yourself out again because you're pushing yourself too hard, which is no fun. But at least we can be here for each other and try to find this new, slower way to live. Carol says hello from France. Good morning. We are having a very chill, or maybe not so chill. We are being very hard on perfectionism and very ranty this Sunday morning. Spinning is fun and meditative. Give it a try. Yeah, I want to. I have plans. I do have some hand spindles and some plants and some fleas. So we'll see what happens once spring and warmer weather rolls around. Princess Greta says, the minute you master plying, please tell me how. We'll see. I have an excellent mentor lined up, but we need good light in the evening for us to do anything. But hopefully, I have high hopes. And you see, you just kicked a large cardboard box out of the way instead of throwing away time sorting it out. Yeah, that works. Yeah, we have 2 floors in this home that we are renting, and it has, so there's an upstairs, hallway and a downstairs hallway, and since the living room is downstairs and there's also a bathroom downstairs, all the guests just hang out downstairs if they come over. So the upstairs hallway is just storage where, cardboard boxes that I don't want in the workroom but has workroom adjacent stuff lives, and it's not ideal. It doesn't bring me joy to look at it, but it does work. Good morning from Ottawa. Yeah, it will be good evening for you, but that is how these time zones work. I feel like it's cool enough to try to wrap my head around the different seasons in different parts of the world, but the time zones really throw me for a loop, especially when you have daylight savings time and then you don't have daylight savings time and everything is just a mess. Spinning sounds very meditative. Yeah, it does seem very meditative. I think I will enjoy it as the thing that we can do together. Good pep talk on perfectionism. Yeah, already had inevitable burnout. Sorry to hear that, but not super surprised. That is kind of how these things go. It's hard putting the pieces back together again and learning to live in a way that is very different. But I like that you're like, if you stay in a lab, it's non-toxic. And I mean, labs are very different. Lab cultures are very different. So you might find one that is a lot more chill. But yeah, I found that in university settings, the publish or perish trope does very much throw sticks in the wheels of people who try to have a healthy work-life balance. And I knew from right when I started studying that I wanted to work part-time ideally, because I don't need a lot of money to subsist. I don't have a lot of expensive hobbies. So I really wanted to do a part-time type thing where I had more rest and time to do hobbies. But there is this unspoken rule that if you do research, you must be very passionate about the topic you are engaged in, and so most jobs are full-time, and I couldn't handle that. They are simply too exhausting to me. I don't have time to rest and recover, and I will burn out as a result. So it's hard. But you can do it. If you want to try to do the thing, you can. I believe in you. Christina says you always have socks on the needles when you have a sweater on the go. Yeah, I hear that. That's a good way of doing it. I haven't had again, I'll call them dum-dum projects. I have only a complex lace knitting project on my needles at the moment, and I need to cast on a dum-dum project because I haven't been knitting. I haven't knit for, I think, a few weeks now, because I need to have my brain space on when working on the brainy lace project, and I've missed having a dum-dum just doing stockinette or rib knit for a couple of hours while watching something or listening to a book or something like that. Elizabeth says you realize that starting spinning opens another rabbit hole? Of course. But what am I but not a, extensive craft acquisition expert? I love accumulating new crafts and learning new skills and getting adequate at all of them and just having fun. But sometimes it doesn't even take all that much to make people impressed in the weirdest ways. Like the green cowl that I wear it's knitted all the way, but then has a tiny scalloped edge. And sometimes I get messages going like that their mind is blown that you combined knitting and crochet in the same project. And I'm like, yeah, because you can. Why not? There's no rule saying you can't. And the moon said that what you love about spinning is the spinning wheel just makes enough noise to drown your endless thoughts. That is very nice. There are some sounds that are just really soothing, like rain on roofs and fire crackling, and tiny fur babies purring, and yeah, I can easily imagine the hiss of a spinning wheel being a similar, meditative sound that gets you in a nice and mentally calm place. You have a spinning wheel but need to find a good chair. Yeah, I don't have a spinning wheel at the moment. I was trying to not have too many things because I already really want a loom, and if you know anything about traditional Norwegian loom with the contramarch and everything, they are the size of a double bed. They take up whole rooms, and you don't really want that much other stuff in the room with the loom, especially computers and technology, because they make a lot of dust. So much dust everywhere. But I really want that eventually. I don't have it because, again, they are so big. But I want one. It's the one piece of enormous kit that I really want because weaving is so much fun. And I've only done tablet weaving and inkle loom weaving, but I want to weave proper big fabric because it would just be so cool. So cool. I can't remember my hiragana lesson, but is your name saying san? No, that can't be right. Anyway, a friendly person is saying hello, and it's been too many years since I tried to learn hiragana, my apologies. But hello to you too. And Ella says, yes, we are here for each other. That is kind of what I want to be, being a little hug and calm in the sea of internet trying to tell you to panic and that everything is falling and that everything... And it's not to say that we don't take what is going on in the world seriously, but we can't only have that emergency mode activated. I listened to Hank Green talk about this and how the easiest way to get views and clicks and to go viral online is to tap into people's fears. If you tap into fear and outrage and just get people to feel, that tight knot in the chest that you are really anxious, it makes people keep watching because they feel like they can't not watch it because what if they miss something? And I want to be the antithesis of that, like the exact opposite. That is not my jam. I don't like feeling that knot in my chest. I don't like feeling scared all the time. I understand that this works on a psychological level, but I don't want to be that. Like, that sounds like a bad time to make people feel scared and anxious so they'll watch your content. Like, that is just... I want to be a cozy friend who just hangs out online, and sometimes we hang out, sometimes we don't, and then we move on to our respective lives and teacups, and ideally people feel a little bit refreshed, at least I hope. I mean, I get feedback that my research and sciencey videos are depressing because I talk about topics which is news to me, because I'm just sharing information. To me, information is neutral, but apparently some people find it depressing, so oh well. But I still want to make those because I feel like they are valuable to people. So it's a weird crossover in content where it's like, here is interesting information you might not have, and then here is a cozy video of us just hanging out and chilling, and it seems to work. I have met so many people in the comments, in, you know, the Discord who are our lovely mingling of fiber arts and crafting enthusiasm and that interest for science and technology and chemistry and biochemistry and biology and physics, and we've had maths people and doctors, and it's so cool. The, you know, those jokes about the Venn diagram of fiber art enthusiasts and science enthusiasts is like there's a big chunk there in the middle that we seem to have hit head on, and it makes me so happy to be able to talk about two of my great passions, which is, you know, making things but also science. And the fact that I get to talk about both those things that to many seem so far apart is just, yes. I'm so happy there are so many, you know, textile geeks like me who have an interest in both of those things. It makes my heart so happy. Mila says their 18-year-old kid just dropped by and laughed. It seems this stream is nothing like the ones they're used to. Yeah, it is nothing like gaming streams. Although I have been watching some streamers to get inspiration of what to do and how to schedule things. And there is this wholesome game developer who has built a very strong supportive community, who also has like for gaming genre, it's a very chill, positive vibe. And they were the one who gave me the idea for the having a little screen that says starting soon and thank you for watching at the beginning and end. And I feel like the one at the end of the stream is more important than the starting soon, although I like both of them, with, you know, Embla snoozing and you see her fur moving as she's breathing. I love that. But I noticed that the first time I did a live and, you know, hit end the stream after I said goodbye, you didn't get a chance to say goodbye, and that feels really abrupt and chaotic and not the best feeling. So I added those screens at the beginning and end, because that way when I say goodbye and I turn my mic off and I start, you know, stretching my legs and doing all the things, you still have a chance to engage in the conversation and have that wind down from me talking to, you know, moving on to something else. So I feel like there's inspiration everywhere when we just look for it. And Jonna says you like my science content too. I'm so glad. I enjoy making that. Like, if I have been making crafting things for a long time, I feel this urge to dig my head into a science project, and I will be frustrated by the end of researching for a science project because they are difficult to write. I get so frustrated and I complain to all my YouTube friends that I am having a hard time, and they're like, but why are you doing it? Because it's also amazingly fun. It's also great and hard. And the videos that are hardest to publish because you're most anxious about them having, like, what kind of reception are they gonna have? Are people gonna like it? Have you explained things properly? You know, I feel like those are the videos that I really do need to publish, because they usually have information that is hard to parse, that has been not, you know, talked about a lot, and maybe my explanation isn't perfect, but hopefully we will learn a little bit more together, and then we learn more as time passes and things improve. But yeah, the videos where I'm the most anxious about publishing them are often the videos that seems to get a lot of good attention or a lot of good feedback, because it was things people weren't aware of and they like learning about the thing, which isn't that we like learning about things. That is just... I talk so much my tea is cold. Oh well. It's a good thing I don't mind iced tea. Inspiration is everywhere? Yes, I think so. All of life is inspiration if we choose to see it that way. But Hi from California. Hello. Good morning, good night, or good general time of day, wherever you are, and whatever your schedule and time zone and thing is. Leia says you still need a great chair for your wheel. Maybe an antique market. Yes, that sounds nice. When we first got these armchairs, I mean, they are broken in the back because they were from the house they came from also had cats, and so the cats have a great need to show the chair who's boss and that it is their chair, not the other cat's chair, and so they're pretty ruined in the back. Luckily, when I read the label on them, they are not actual antiques. They are a reproduction of antique chairs, so I feel slightly less bad about them being completely broken, but furniture generally comes to our house to die. Our couch too has seen many enthusiastic cats, and much as we are teaching Embla not to do that, she is still a young cat and these things still happen. So it is quite good about it, but Embla still needs some guidance in trying to not do the thing. Hello, we were talking about you, yes. Are you going to start screaming again like you did at the beginning of the stream? You're just going to take your toy and leave? Alright. Goodbye. But yeah, Emma is still only a year and a half, so she's still, an energetic little teenager. And life is too short to have new furniture and worry about things being broken, when I would much rather snuggle my cats and talk to friends. And we have the same attitude about tableware and plates and china and things like that. It's I'm clumsy, my spouse is clumsy, and why would we got so much, there's so much guilt or pardon, sorry. There is so much guilt from our childhood of, being yelled at for breaking a cup or glass or a plate or what have you, because children are children and these things will happen. That in our house we just have a absolutely no shame policy for breaking a thing, and to do that we need to have things that it's like, well, this is secondhand and it's okay, and if we don't use it, what's the point of having it? So even the rose china set that I inherited from my grandmother is also like, yeah, we take care of it the best we can, but if it breaks, that's okay. I don't want a house full of stuff that I'm too afraid to use. I would rather use it, and if it breaks, it breaks. That's life. I don't want a house full of stuff that gets no use. So when stuff breaks, we just clean it up and move on. Occasionally we need to take a trip back to a secondhand shop to get some new ones, but yeah, we are very chill about breaking things, and to try to, again, that unlearning of that, how people will instantly shrink down into themselves if they anticipate someone is going to yell at them, because that is what we have been conditioned to do from childhood. And it can be so powerful to not do that. I've shared this story before, I'm pretty sure, but we were going to a reenactment market with some friends of mine, and we had rented a cabin that could fit all of us for the moment, and one of our members, hey Embla, you in a playful mood, and one of the members of our group dropped a bag of coffee onto the floor, and coffee grounds just everywhere in the kitchen. And they got that hunched up, ready to be yelled at, ready to be told that they're useless, because that is what they were told as children by parents who are overwhelmed and exhausted. And times were different then, but also maybe you don't think because you're just in the moment and that's how you were treated. But instead of yelling at them, a good friend of mine just went, well, we'll just get a broom and we'll clean it up. It's no big deal. And the relief on that grown man's face, sort of just his entire physical being just went from being super, super tight and close to just, oh, it's no big deal. We just clean it up. Get a new bag of coffee from the store. And they were so overwhelmed by that shock and relief of someone treating a small thing like a small thing. And this was not a huggy, touchy person, that they just went over to my good friend for a really long, big, close, proper bear embrace hug, because they had so many emotions raging, that conflict of your expectations from childhood versus this new treatment of, oh, we could treat it in this way instead. That will always stay with me as such a good proof of, it's okay to break things, it's okay to drop things, it's okay that things break, and to treat children like children. Like, that's the thing that I always struggle with, is when adults treat children like malicious adults, like they had planned out something, but actually they're just children doing things like a child would. So yeah, no, I don't like using guilt as a tool for getting things done, because you do get things done, but at what cost? I would much rather people do things because they want to do them. Yeah. I thought I was gonna run out of stuff to do, but this little darling pair is still a lot of black behind, so there's still a lot to do. It's still a lot to fill her in, and I think I will be sitting a little while after the stream ends, which by the by, we've already gone for an hour and a half. How does this always happen? I'm like, oh, maybe we've been going for an hour. No, we've been going for longer than that. Time just kind of flies by. I shall. But yeah. Oh, knocking my microphone. Classy. Pardon everyone for me being a noob at this, but yeah, I was so anxious to begin doing these lives, and I find that I enjoy it. Brooke says the dog got into a bag of flour once. Couldn't be mad, it was too funny. I can easily imagine that. Like, how did you even, but also, alright. Yeah, it's... Yeah. Sud is a bit of a food fiend. She's very food motivated, and accidentally we have trained her that if we go into the kitchen, if she begs, which, she will raise up on her back paws and hold her paws against our thigh and be like, hello, food, please. And we are trying to train that out of her again, because that was an accident. That wasn't really supposed to. So now she doesn't get wet food when she does that, because that's not what we want to continue. But she is also so very, very cute. And she is just, as much as she is too clever for her own good, she is also just a cat. She has limited. Like, her world as an indoor cat is smaller, even if she looks at the birds. And in Norway, it's not common to have indoor cats. It's seen as animal abuse, and I'm like, no, I think it's because cats kill so many birds. They kill so many birds, and birds didn't ask to have little tiny predators in their territory. So I started thinking about it like, well, if I choose to adopt a cute, snuggly, furry little murder machine, then I should also take the time to play with them and engage them and give them enrichment and toys and playtime so that they are entertained. And yeah, they would probably love to hunt birds instead, but the billions of birds cats kill every year and the biodiversity they decimate made me go, no, I don't really feel like I want to do that to the ecosystem. So our cats have to watch the birds from their little catio, and they do seem to enjoy that very much. We put up a bird feeder in the apple tree not too far away from them, and they very much run downstairs when I get up in the morning and ask me to open the... We built it in front of a window so that we can let them out easily, and they are very, very ready now that it's not so cold anymore to go outside and watch the birds and look at the leaves. And some of the other cats have started stopping by, so they have someone to talk to, or Hesat in Soot's in Soot's case. But yeah, life is weird and life is short, and I am no means perfect. I still get hangry and have my days where I am not as gracious as I would like to be, but life is short and weird, and it's easier if we try to be patient with each other, I think. Oops. Catless. Oh well. I've been so surprised by how positive people have been to the lives. But it's nice to have a calm place to sit. Why is my voice so awful today? Animals in places where they shouldn't be is just adorably funny. That's just no way around it, sadly. Or not sadly, but Soot frequently gets into places she shouldn't be. And a favorite place that they want to be right now is on top of the wardrobe to my right. There you go. And I don't want them to jump on top of that because it's easy enough for them to get up on it. They just stand on top of the armchair and they jump from there. But much as cats are graceful and elegant, this is a very small target for them to aim at when they jump down again. And the alternative is the floor or the cushion I'm sitting on, and I would rather they didn't do that. That seems like a bit of a tall jump for my little fur babies to have potential fall damage, which I don't want them to have. But yeah, I'm having a good time on these lives, and I hope everyone else is having good times on these too. It's experimental and I don't know what to talk about all the time, and then we ask questions and share experiences and have a good time. But it's probably getting to be time to find some lunch soon, depending on how everyone feels. This gives me something to do. And for some of you, the Sunday is winding down, and for some of us, Sunday has barely gotten started. But I never had to do much shift work. I usually had part-time jobs and other things that were either very strict, like these are your regular days, or it's work during the weekday. So I could always have those weekends to wind down. My voice is really being weird today. Maybe it doesn't want me to continue. But yeah, I've always been very, very lucky, very fortunate in that I always had the weekend to rest and recharge. Or I would study and sometimes I work, but it's always at a more leisurely pace than the rest of the week. So I was very lucky to usually have Sundays off, which I know not everyone gets that, but it made me into a person that I work from Monday to Friday. Those are my primary work hours, and I try to work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. A lot of the time it turns into 6 p.m., but it's work that I enjoy, which we know that feeling like your work has purpose makes you more resilient to burnout, even if it isn't completely avoidable at all times. But yeah, maybe it's time for us to wind down and go do other things, go our respective ways, and have a good time in other projects. But I will show up again for lives at random times and random events. Nelly says anxiety-induced perfectionism create interesting chains of logic. Ooh, they do. I have experienced this. You say, I need to make this shawl because I'm going to move my bedroom upstairs, and so yeah. Let's see if I can. A linen nightgown to sit on the front. Yeah, isn't it interesting how you feel like you can't do a thing before you do another thing, and then a third thing, and then you can't start that because this isn't perfect. And we see this a lot in reenactors when you go to markets, that they're like, oh, but I can't go yet to the market because my shift is not good enough, or my trousers don't have this and this decoration, and I only have so and so, I don't have the right shoes. And it really makes these interesting cascading effects. And it's everywhere when you start looking for it. And have you heard about the single lighthouse cat that was personally responsible for the extinctions of an entire species of island bird? Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, I see some graphs sometime, how everyone says windmills kill a lot of birds, and then there's this graph and it's like windmills and disease and a couple of other things, then it's like small graph, and then cats like domineering the entire graph globally. It's just horrifying. It's a really big problem. Like, people don't think it is because they just have one cat or two, but globally our keeping of pets has a much bigger effect on the ecosystem than we maybe realize. And one of the things, when I went to Svalbard, which is an island in the north in the Arctic, it doesn't have any trees because it's so far north that trees don't survive. So it's all, little bush, not even bushes, but heather and like short plants. So all the birds, of course, have developed to nest on the ground because they have to. There's no other alternative. They also nest in the mountains and stuff, but again, everything is on the ground. So in the city I was in Longyearbyen, you are not allowed to keep cats because they would just decimate the population of wild birds in the area. And those birds are threatened enough as it is by other external environmental factors. So there you only keep dogs because they are on a leash and not hunting in the same way. Oh yeah, that's the continuation for Nelly, that you want to have a linen nightgown and your little shawl and you sit on your front steps drinking morning coffee in summer. So instead of moving your bedroom, you start knitting the shawl. Yeah, but a good shawl though, like it can't be. It's not a bad thing to have a good shawl. I need myself a good shawl. I have several blankets, but no good shawl yet. But I hear you in the. Sometimes you stop yourself and you go through the logical reasonings in your head and you go, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, does it? That's that's a little bit silly. But it's hard, but I try my best to try to make friends with my brain. Like, this is the brain that we have, and we have to learn to live with it and all its weird reasonings. And there is only one thing that's constant, and that is change. I mean, I always look back at who I was years ago, and I was me, undeniably, at every step of my life, but at the same time, I've changed a lot since then, and I will keep changing as I grow older. And one thing that I've learned is that changing yourself takes a lot of time, but it's so worth it. But changing ingrained habits and thought patterns are super, super difficult things to do, but it's really worth it to work on mindsets and improving those things. And it is possible, but it's such slow going. My goodness, never has a project been so slow as trying to change my own mindsets and how I talk to myself. And whenever I'm tired, I fall back on habit. But we try, and then we have some food and a nap, and we try again the next day. That's kind of how that goes. Cute tulips, thank you. They were a gift from my spouse. One of my favorite ways to receive gifts is that it's just any other day and you just thought of the other person, and these were one of those. I think it was Monday. They went to the store and came back with this bouquet, and they were perfectly in bloom for today, so why not include them? I should get back at them and get them a bouquet of flowers a little later too. Maybe a little after these have wilted. I will try to see if I can find them a bouquet of something in retaliation. But yeah, that's kind of my favorite thing to do. Like, it isn't a birthday, it isn't an occasion, it isn't a traditional time to give, because why do you have to wait for someone's birthday to give them attention? Often they get so much attention that day anyway, if they have like a larger family or a larger social circle, that it can get a bit overwhelming. And I find that when you give someone a gift when they're not expecting it, suddenly they feel a lot really appreciated and loved, and you can talk about things and they have time because it's just random. But yeah, they were a gift and I'm very fond of them. We don't have flowers very often, but they're nice. I am growing fond of them. So, as a gifting thing, hope to one day have a garden where we can plant roses and lilies, and irises are lovely, but you do need to have wet ground for that. But yeah, just have a garden full of flowers and fruits and things for the wildlife and the bees and other pollinating insects, and just let them go wild. That is probably my most favorite. I need to share a link with you, but my most favorite YouTube channel from New Zealand especially is called Happen Films, and they make these gorgeous documentaries about people who make forest gardens, and they grow food and they preserve nature and they do things and garden. A lot of these documentaries, they're so like, their filming skills are excellent. I just want to, like, their documentary skills are, I dream of this kind of skill. They're amazing. Carol says, oh, your last cat died and you've not replaced her because you love your windows open and love watching the increasing birds and lizards in your small garden. So for the first time in your life, no cats. I am sorry your kitty died, but I also understand this kind of thinking, because they do have, the little murder mittens do have a large impact. So if we ever find ourselves maybe the ability to buy a little place somewhere, probably out of the city where things are a little bit cheaper, but if we manage that eventually, we will try to build a larger catio, like connected to a porch or something like that, where the cats can be safe and we can sit outside with them, and I will still go outside to this catio section and hang up bird feeders and feed the birds and other things, because yeah, they are very cute, but they can wreak a whole lot of havoc when we let them. It's really impressive. I think an ornithologist had tracked their cat and how many birds they killed, which I am not sure how an ornithologist can do that, because the cat has a lot of active hours. Maybe they had a camera on the cat or something, or I don't remember the details, but they tracked how many cats, how many birds their cat killed, and it was either almost one bird every day of the year, or it was slightly above one bird every day of the year. And those numbers are just shocking. They are so big, and that's just one cat. And then you multiply that by cities and nations and globally, and you get these enormous numbers. And of course, birds and other wildlife are already struggling when it comes to habitat loss and finding food and pollution and all of the things. I just don't want to make it that little bit harder for them when we have cute birds just outside our window. I've been feeding, I have a little bird feeder in an apple tree, and there is a field, and then there's like a larger coppice of trees beyond that, and it's been up for a couple of months, and just recently a woodpecker found it, and it's a red-chested woodpecker. I'm not sure if that's the English term, but it's a woodpecker, and it has a red head, top of head. And it's so cool to watch them, because they can really latch on to the bird feeder for a while. If they're not disturbed, they can sit and eat for like half an hour straight before they move on to something else. Sometimes the magpie tries to chase them away, but they are really cool. And of course there are a lot of other small birds, and I don't mind the magpies fighting for the bird feeder either, because I've hung it in such a way that they will struggle to reach it, so they need to use their clever little brains to get to it, which I enjoy watching them think. I'll see them sitting on the ground looking up the bird feeder, and you see that they are thinking about how to get to it. But yeah, strange bird anecdotes aside, I think it is time. My stomach is rumbling, so I think it is time for me to leave you all and go find some lunch. And whether you are going to bed or in the middle of your day or just have your day started, I hope you have an excellent rest of your day and an excellent week and an excellent time just in general. But yeah, thank you for now, and see you suddenly and unplannedly.